So I'd like to begin by thanking Amy and the team at Campaigns and Elections for putting on another wonderful event. We've come year after year, and it just keeps getting better and better. So thank you very much to everybody at Campaigns and Elections for putting this on and giving us the opportunity to get together. My name is James Collins, and I'm with Peerly, an enterprise peer-to-peer texting platform that works with campaigns and organizations across North America. Let me start with a simple observation. The average American now spends more than 5 hours a day on their smartphone. That's roughly 86 days a year. On average, people check their phones well over 100 times a day, moving through clicks, texts, notifications, videos, and conversations. Attention today is fragmented, mobile, and constant. In the 2024 election cycle alone, billions of political text messages were sent out. That tells us something important. The small screen is no longer secondary. It has become the central arena for persuasion, turnout, fundraising, and voter engagement. The era of simply mobilizing or simply optimizing for mobile is over. Mobile is now the campaign. Today's panel explores the great shift, the rise of AI-driven, mobile-first campaigning, and how new technologies are changing the way campaigns connect with voters. I'm joined today by a great group of leaders working at the intersection of politics, technology, and voter engagement. Let me introduce our panel. First, we have Dan Aquila, Global EVP at Peerly, a telecommunications executive with more than 20 years of experience building large-scale messaging and digital engagement platforms. Next, we have Chris Boyce, who does partnerships and compliance at Peerly, helping campaigns run effective messaging programs while navigating carrier and regulatory requirements. Next, after that, we have Corey Waugh, the head of architecture at AMP AI, where he designs infrastructure powering next-generation AI communication platforms. And of course, we have Alyssa Ignacio, the field director, national field director at Canvasser.com, helping campaigns scale grassroots organizing using AI-assisted canvassing and voter engagement tools. And of course, last but not least, we have Aftab Beg. I'm sure many of you already know him, our SVP at Peerly. He's focused on helping campaigns deploy large-scale texting programs focusing on persuasion, fundraising, and voter engagement. I have several questions for our panel. We have a lot to get through today, so I'm just going to get right to it. Dan, I want to begin with you. How important is texting and optimizing for mobile in this cycle?
Sure, thanks, James. Yeah, you know, the time of mobile first or optimized for mobile campaigning has come to an end. It's past. I think all campaigns need to embrace that the new gold standard in campaigning is mobile. And I'll give you a stat to explain why I'm framing it like that. Today, 70% of all the content that's consumed online, 70% is on the small screen. That's a paradigm shift from where we were 10 or 15 years ago. But that's only part of the picture, because it's also consumed in little slivers of attention. As James mentioned in his opening, you know, the average voter is looking at their phone 100 times a day. That's 100 little fractions of their day that everyone is vying for their attention. And that basically means that campaigns are not really competing against traditional media for that attention. They're not competing against broadcast television or drive time radio or print ads or the stuff that we always used to be competing against. Now they're competing against whatever content that voter has on their phone. And that's what makes, in my opinion, text messaging one of the most effective ways to reach that segment of voter. You have a way that you can deliver content right to them in the palm of their hand, something that they're already using, while also having absolutely natural, two-way, real-time conversations with these voters. Traditional media just doesn't really have that same approach. You have to make a boilerplate, one-size-fits-all type of message. It's going to go out to 100,000 people. Even outside of text messaging, just regular political communication, you're going to do advertising, it's the same problem. You don't have that kind of hyper-targeting ability. So why not engage with them right in the palm of their hands with a message that is exactly what they want when they want it? So is it about augmenting or adjusting political messaging to, the new paradigm of mobile? I would say not really. It's more that campaigns and everyone in this room needs to acknowledge that the new arena of political communications is mobile. It's on the mobile phone. And the new battleground of attention is mobile. That's where people are spending their attention that we want to get. And campaigns that understand that, acknowledge that, incorporate it into everything they do, those are the ones that ultimately are going to be the most effective at getting the message to the voter who needs to see it when they need to see it.
I think you make a really good point there about campaigns. They're no longer designing around mobile. They're operating inside it, really owning the medium, right?
Exactly, yeah.
So, that will bring me nicely to you, I think, Aftab. What kind of trends are you seeing right now when it comes to political texting?
Yeah, James, that's a great question. One of the biggest trends we're seeing right now, this cycle, is the continued rise of video texting. Purely, we developed True HD Video in 2022. It really didn't gain a lot of steam up until the 2024 presidential cycle. That's when it really picked up, and we've seen a huge uptick of it. And at that time, we had the Trump campaign. They leaned on it heavily, and they used it quite a bit. They sent out short-form videos on our platform, millions and millions of videos. And then they also, of course, incorporated it into their ad strategy, their digital media strategy, and so that's pretty much, they were pretty successful with it, right? That's what they ran in 2024. Since then, we've launched a new technology called Video in Motion. Think of Video in Motion like HD video beefed up on steroids. We've taken HD video and we've married it with AI, essentially. We built an entire AI apparatus to incorporate videos. Obviously, everybody remembers in the early days of AI, and when I say early days, I'm talking like last year, the year before, people used AI for content creation, right? That was the primary use of AI. You used it to whip up messages. Obviously, we're seeing a shift in that now, right? The successful people that are using it now are using it to manage enormous amounts of data. And that's where we see the benefit of AI being used. So you can imagine purely, of course, where we work on the enterprise level, our typical customers are sending 1 million, 2 million, 3 million messages every single day. And when you're sending that many messages, obviously you're going to get thousands and thousands of replies. Now the question is, how do you handle those replies? A lot of campaigns, committees, PACs, they're doing nothing with these replies. And what Purely's AI does is it goes in, it sifts through all these replies, it categorizes them, it lets you know which ones are the hot leads, it opts out all the negative responses, and then you're able to reach out to those people. And you can find out if they're supporters, if they're going to donate to your cause or to your campaign. And that's where we see the benefit of marrying AI with video texting. I think that's going to be the trend, James. That's really going to pick up in 26, and that's really going to move the needle there.
So we're seeing a richer content, especially in terms of video.
Exactly.
Better data analysis with AI. Okay. And I think I'd like to bring it to you at this point with Corey, if you can see him behind him here. I know in the past we've talked about ethical AI and AMP AI as ethical AI.
Right.
Can you tell me a little bit more about that in terms of political campaigning? What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, that's a great question. I do see AI potentially pushing the boundaries there of ethics and political campaigning over the coming cycle. I think that's why it's important now to really take time to decide how it should best be used, right? I think initially maybe people might have a negative connotation thinking about AI more in the generative sense, maybe speaking on behalf of a candidate, something like that, or generating entire conversations automatically. We don't think that's the best use of AI. I think most people could agree there. Where we see the best use of AI is in analyzing millions of conversations, right? Analyzing massive amounts of data at scale and enabling campaigns to really interact with that data way better than they could before, right?
So you've talked about this real-time sentiment analysis. Can you give me an example of kind of how that plays out practically?
Yeah. Let's see. So let's say a campaign is reaching out to a voter, maybe they're asking for a donation, something like that. And the voter responds something like, I can't right now, but maybe next time. AI, before a traditional platform may just, have to move on from that. You don't have the amount of volunteers or campaign staff to really interact with thousands of messages at scale. But leveraging AI, we can extract, multiple signals from that simple response very quickly, right? I can see there's a positive sentiment there, right? That there is a willingness to donate in the future. That maybe there's a timing window constraint, something like that. Because they said maybe next time, right? So AI could be used to find an optimal, contact window to actually contact that voter, right? So that's really empowering the campaigns at scale to massively, increase their ability to interact with the voter.
So I really like that idea. So really, it's about AI empowering humans, not taking them out of the loop, right?
Right. Yeah.
Structuring that.
Yeah, exactly. I think the campaigns that really win the most with AI over the coming cycle are going to be the ones that don't simply use AI to just automate the most. I think it's going to be the ones that really leverage it to understand the voter the best, right?
That seems like a pretty consistent theme we're running up against here.
Yeah.
Alyssa, I just want to bring this over to you because I think this really dovetails well with maybe what you can bring into it. How are you seeing AI deployed in the field in terms of canvassing this cycle so far? Like, what are you seeing out there?
Yeah, thanks, James. So what we've been seeing with AI is that it's starting to move far beyond those sort of novelty uses that we see with generating text or generating images. We're starting to actually see campaigns use it to solve real-world operational challenges that they may be facing. So if we take a look at canvassing as an example, a traditional canvasser might go out for an hour knocking on doors. In that time, they could maybe speak to 10 voters if they're lucky. But when we introduce an AI-assisted canvassing program like Canvasser, we can see those numbers scale dramatically. So in that same hour that someone was out knocking on doors, Canvasser can reach tens of thousands of people and still maintain those very structured, meaningful conversations that campaigns like to see. And the way to do this is to do it in a very responsible and ethical way. So what campaigns can do is they can craft their messages beforehand, and they can use AI to match those messages with common questions or concerns that they're seeing from voters. And this ensures that they're able to remain consistent and compliant across the board throughout the duration of their campaign. So the goal isn't necessary to replace grassroots campaigning, but rather to be able to use this technology to scale it in a responsible way.
So I like the idea we're using AI to scale grassroots engagement, but still keeping like very much human-centered, real conversations at the core of those interactions.
Exactly.
So I mean that when I think of the scaling of this, one of my immediate concerns is kind of the compliance piece, and I want to bring you in on this one, Chris. What advice do you have for campaigns navigating the compliance 10DLC space right now?
Yeah, look, 10DLC is here to stay. I tell all my clients, start the registration process early. The moment your client says, look, we want to send texts, whether it's a month away, week away, a few days away, start that process. Gather all the information, website, EIN, messages, gather all that information. Because when the registry gets busy and it's bottleneck, that's when we can see delays. And I mean, with Purely, we've seen registrations go through within a few hours. So we're pretty on top of getting our clients through.
Do you have any thoughts on that one, Dan?
Yeah, it's true. Registration turnarounds have come way down in time. There's one thing that Chris and I were discussing a little bit earlier today that I wanted to bring up. There's apparently a couple other texting providers out there that are alluding to either campaigns or agencies that there's a circumvention way or a bypass way around 10DLC, or that they have a special dispensation to send some special political traffic through an unregistered channel. I'll just flat out tell you that that's not true. There is no such circumvention way. All messages have to be registered. Like Chris said, it's not a complicated process. It's very, very quick. Obviously, the whole point of 10DLC is to restore trust in the messaging ecosystem. The carriers have carved out a very specific use case of political that they take a hands-off approach. They just want to make sure that it is who it says it is, and they're not going to take kindly to a circumvention of 10DLC. We've heard this rumor from them. They're actively investigating this. I think they're going to try and make an example out of it if it's happening. They don't have regulatory fines that apply here, but they do have commercial fines between the DCAs and the MNOs and the end users. Those fines can range in the thousands of dollars per message. I would hate to see a political campaign days away from E-Day get levied a $30,000 fine from one of the carriers because they were doing something they weren't supposed to be doing, or they were sidestepping the process. It's not hard to get registered. As Chris says, it's something that if you pull the information together, it can be as soon as a couple hours. It's not very hard. It's not a difficult process. I know Anna from Campaign Verify is in the audience somewhere. I was just talking to her. We haven't had a single registration this year that we weren't able to get registered. No, 100% success rate. It doesn't matter how small, esoteric, strange the little race is somewhere in the country. We worked with her team. We're able to get a Campaign Verify token and get them in. So just get registered. The consequence could be ruinous if you don't, and there's no point to circumvent it.
Yeah, like not only is there heavy fines, right, Dan? Like we're talking, you're going to get blacklisted. You are not going to be able to send any text messages if you get caught doing this.
That could be an outcome. They could blacklist your campaign until you pay it, or just permanently if they think you were doing it intentionally.
Chris, I'm going to get you to expand. I think you're probably going to the exact same
elaborate
place.
on that. I mean, this brings me to the next point. Really, is that in 2020 the FCC gave P2P Alliance a declaratory ruling stating that peer-to-peer text messages, when being sent by a human being, are not automated dialing devices, right? So when you start to involve automation or bulk texts, now you're running into those going to be treated as robocalls, right? So, and that's subject to the TCPA, which in return you're looking at class action lawsuits, FCC fines. So really just stick to what's right. Register, do the 10DLC registration. It's not hard. Lean on us, lean on the experts. We've been doing it for so long. We have many of our clients here that could speak and attest to that.
Can you give me like a top 2 or 3 common issues you see across the board for registering? Is there like probably the same thing over and over again, I would imagine?
Yeah, I don't want to sound like a scratched record, but really start the registration process early. It's not hard. Website, EIN, sample messaging, lean on us for support. Sometimes we see people try to do everything. We know campaigns are busy. We know consultants are busy. We're the experts here, right? We're going to aid you and help you and make sure we can do things.
Okay. So I'm going to open this one up to the group. As we've seen, sending traditional kind of unilinear text message that's become completely oversaturated. I think it's getting to the point where it's just white noise at this point, safe to say. We're seeing hyper-personalization catch on more and more. We're doing it better and better. But I liken it to this kind of arms race, this technological arms race. Are we going to see the same diminishing returns and maybe lack of efficacy with this hyper-personalization, you think, at some point? Does anybody have any thoughts on that one?
I'll take that one, I guess. It's probably a hot take, but if you're still sending 160 character, static, no image, just text, same message to 100,000 people, text messages, you should probably just stop now.
You're wasting your money there. Stop sending those.
That time is past. You're not cutting through the noise. You are the noise at that point. Start to embrace some of the newer tech. Look into AI, look into segmenting your list, deliver the message that you know that voter cohort wants to reach at that time. Target the message to those people, target the time you send it to them, use your analytics to figure out the best stuff. And then in the message itself, make it dynamic, personalize it, bring in content that is relevant to that voter. Of course, images are a must. Images are worth 1,000 words, but of course, video, I'll leave that one to you after.
Yeah, for sure. Look, you got the ability to deliver two-way commercial content directly in the voter's hands, right? That's huge. There's no political censorship when you're sending text messages. There's no algorithms deciding whether you get to see this video or you don't get to see this video. There's no competing content. I mean, video texting is the way to go. I was actually reading this study the other day by Harvard. Actually, there's two studies. There's an MIT study and a Harvard study. And what they were saying is that when people receive video messages, it gets retained and it gets absorbed. And people remember that, right? So if you're going to be sending text messages, just don't send the flat 160-character text messages. Like I said earlier, you guys are wasting your money. It's not getting read. Send videos. Videos are the way to go. You know, video in motion, people are always moving. People are walking around, they're driving. Just this morning, I seen people crossing the road, there's cars zipping by, people are glued to their phones, just scrolling through videos. It's unbelievable.
So it is unbelievable, yeah. I agree, it's unbelievable. Okay, so that brings me to my next point. We've talked about 4K video motion, and we've talked about AMP AI. I think we've largely talked about these things in the context of higher ballot campaigns. What about the lower ballot campaigns? I'm not going to put this to everybody. How are we seeing it deployed? Is it suitable? What are we seeing kind of on the ground? Any thoughts on that one?
So I like to think about it in versus traditional old media, right? So if you wanted to get your message out and you were a down ballot campaign, you didn't have a lot of options before. 10, 15 years ago, you had to do a multi-point ratings buy or something like that to get a big message out there. If you're running for county commissioner, that wasn't in the cards. You do not have the resources to do that type of media buy. If you were something slightly larger, maybe you had to go to 4 radio stations and 5 TV stations and then get professionally produced content to put on those ads. Again, that priced out and resourced out almost all of those mid-sized and small campaigns, right? This type of tech allows anyone at any level to get in and start using this technology, right? And still get the same message penetration as a presidential or as a senatorial campaign would get. It actually levels the playing field in that respect. And in terms of, is it going to just add to the noise? I don't think so, because I think people will start using the technology in a more targeted way. We'll actually see less messages with more engagement as a result.
I'm going to put this question to all because we're ending kind of the end of our time. We're coming close to the end of our time here. We've talked about a lot of things today. I'm interested to know what you guys think is the biggest thing campaigns are missing out on or not thinking of when they're using AI with P2P. What's the one thing that you consistently see? I think Alyssa probably has some thoughts specifically.
Yeah, I can take that one. Well, I mean, if you think about it, there's no other technology in the world that can do what peer-to-peer texting can do. You're talking about a technology that can reach millions of people, have conversations with those people, and then gather and process data from those conversations, take the insights, and then integrate those back into your campaign strategy. There's no other technology that can do this right now. You've got TV, email, social media. None of those technologies have that kind of reach. So yeah, peer-to-peer texting married with AI is the way to go.
Yeah, Alyssa is 100% right there. Again, I hate to do it again, but flip back to the old way of doing it, right? If you needed to door knock 100,000 doors, you needed an army of volunteers. That was a resource not available to most campaigns. Then peer-to-peer texting came along, and suddenly you could do the same with still an army of people, but way less and have way more engagement. But you still needed hundreds of people to go through 100,000 replies to your text messages. Marrying that with AI is a force multiplier that we just haven't seen before in the political space. You're talking be able to do 100x or 1,000x with the same amount of resources you used to be able to do.
Any other thoughts?
Yeah, actually, I'll jump in there, James. So yesterday there was a pretty amazing panel on fundraising. There's an all-star cast. I mean, we had some heavy-duty hitters there talking about fundraising. And one of the things that they all talked about was that fundraising is dead, right? Donors aren't chipping in. There's a lot of donor fatigue. And so that seemed to be the main thing there with the panel. And I thought to myself, I'm like, okay, why are people not chipping in? Like, we've got all these technologies here to help people. We use our AMP AI product, right? You send out thousands and thousands of these messages, you're going to get thousands and thousands of replies. But within those replies, there's donors there, there's supporters there, but people are ignoring those replies. Our system's going to capture those replies. It's going to go ahead and let you know which people responded in a positive manner, which ones responded in a negative manner. It's going to take those negative responses, opt those people out, and then you're able to target those people again and get some money out. Like, people are leaving money on the table with fundraising. So I really think people need to jump on this train here and get into video texting, use AI, use all these new technologies that are out there at your fingertips to help you guys out.
There's no cost to the AMP AI as well.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a good point, actually. Thank you for bringing that up. I see that brings us just about to the end of our time now. I'm going to wrap things up. I'd like to say thank you to everybody for coming out today and seeing our panel. We really appreciate it. We look forward to talking with many of you and catching up throughout the rest of the event. I want to thank our panelists. Dan Aquila, of course, the Global EVP at Peerly, Aftab Beg, Corey Waugh at AMP AI, Alyssa, the field director, national field director at canvasser.com, and of course, we have Chris Boyce, compliance and regulatory at Peerly. So thank you very much. Good luck to everybody tonight if you're nominated. I hope everybody has a good time. Thank you again.